And then I think if you guys follow along, you should be fine. So we're going to do two examples. We have matrix A and matrix B, and they're asking us to find the product of A times B. So the most important thing about matrix multiplication is that the dimensions of the two matrices that you're multiplying, they matter, and they matter a lot. So matrix A is a 2 by 3 matrix. It has 2 rows and 3 columns. Matrix B is a 3 by 2 matrix. It has 3 rows and 2 columns. And when you look at the dimensions side by side, you can see that the 3's match up. So these match. And to be able to multiply matrices together, they have to match. If those numbers don't match, you cannot multiply the matrices together. Okay, that's really important. And at this point, I shouldn't see any earbuds. Let's take them out. Thank you. And then if you look at the leftover dimensions, that will tell you what your product will be. So when I'm done multiplying these matrices, I'm going to get a product that is a 2 by 2 matrix. That's how it's going to work. Okay? If you look at the individual positions of each element in the result matrix, it will tell you what you multiplied to get there. So right here, this element has row 1, column 1. So to get to this piece, we must have multiplied together the first row times the first column. That's how you get that first piece right there. You do the first row times the first column. So whenever I do matrix multiplication, I use both of my fingers. I use my index fingers, and I follow along on the page, and that for me has created like a muscle memory for how to multiply these. So I take my left index finger and I go across the row, and I take my right index finger and I go down the column. And that helps me figure out what to multiply. So left index finger is going to go by the 2, right index finger is going to go by the -5. So we're going to say 2 times -5, and then we're going to go over with our left index finger and down with our right index finger. So 2 times -5, -3 times 3, 5 times 8. So see how we're multiplying 3 numbers together? Okay, so our first product is -10. Then -9, then 40. And we're going to add all 3 of those numbers together, and that's going to end up in that one position. Okay? So I left room down here for us to write all those numbers together because it's really easy to forget how this works. So we're going to write -10, and then -9, and then 40. So we're showing all of our numbers. We're adding all of these together. And then when we add all of them together, -10, -9, +40, that gives us 21. And so that's in that first position of row 1, column 1. Does that make sense so far? Okay. So the next position that we're going to look at is row 1, column 2. So we're going to multiply row 1 with column 2. Again, I'm taking my left index finger and I'm going across the row. I'm taking my right index finger and I'm going down the column. So I've got 2 times 7, -3 times 0, 5 times 10. So 2 times 7 is 14. -3 times 0 is 0. 5 times 10 is 50. So 14, 0, 50. And if I add those together, what do I get? 64. Okay? For the next one, that position is row 2, column 1. So I've got row 2, column 1. Okay, so I'm going to take my left index finger to go across the row, my right index finger to go down the column. I've got 1 times -5, -4 times 3, 12 times 8. So -5, -12, 96. Is that 96? 96. So -5, -12, 96. -5, -12, 96. Okay, so 79 for that one. Okay, and then our last one is row 2, column 2. So row 2, column 2. And we've got 7, 0, 120. 7, 0, 120. So 127. Okay. How do you guys feel about finding the multiplication? Lots of numbers going together to create one number. Does that make sense? Okay. Now, if I were to take this and switch the order and do B times A, and this is a typo on the notes. I switched the order, so that shouldn't say A, it should say B. I just forgot to switch the letters. So B times A. Now I have a 3 by 2 matrix times a 2 by 3 matrix. So again, I'm going to check this. These match. And so my answer is going to be a 3 by 3 matrix. So what we're used to in the regular math world is that if I do like 5 times 3, I get 15, and 3 times 5, I get 15. And that's called commutative. It means it doesn't matter what order you do multiplication in, you still get the same answer. Here, with matrices, multiplication is not commutative. It means up here, when I did A times B, I got a 2 by 2 matrix. But if I do B times A, I get a 3 by 3 matrix. I'm going to get a completely different answer if I multiply them in a different order. Does that make sense? So matrices are not commutative. If you switch the order, it makes a difference. In fact, it would be possible that we could choose 2 matrices where in one order it would be possible to multiply them, but if you switched the order, you could no longer multiply them. Does that make sense? Okay, so let's go ahead and let's start multiplying these. We're going to do B times A. And since these are my notes, I'm going to show all of my work for this one, and then once we get to practicing for the assignment, we won't have to show all of our work anymore. So remember, we're going to do this first number right here, row 1, column 1, and my left index finger goes across the row, and my right index finger goes down the column. Okay? So first I'm going to do -5 times 2, and then 7 times 1. So what numbers am I adding together? -10 and 7. So -10 plus 7 goes in that spot right there. Okay, now I'm working on this spot right here. I'm in the second row, first column. So my index finger is going to go across the second row. I'm still going to go down the first column. So I'm multiplying 3 times 2 and 0 times 1. 3 times 2 and 0 times 1. So what do I get? 6 plus 0, right? Or 6, yep. 6 plus 0. Okay. Next, I'm going to do the third row, first column. So I get 8 times 2, 10 times 1. 8 times 2, 10 times 1. So I've got 16 plus 10. And I am looking to see all of this work on your notes because we want to have really good examples on our notes just in case we brain fart later, okay? You don't have to show all this work when you do an assignment. You can do the math in your head on an assignment, but for our notes, I want to see all the work. Okay, let's go to the middle column. So we're going to say first row multiplied by second column. So I'm going to put my index finger back to the first row, but now I'm going to the middle column with my right index finger. So I've got -5 times -3, and then 7 times -4. -5 times -3, 7 times -4. So we've got 15, -28. And now we're on the next one. So we're going to do second row, second column. 3 times -3, 0 times -4. 3 times -3, 0 times -4. And then we've got our third row, second column. 8 times -3, 10 times -4. 8 times -3, 10 times -4. Okay, I want you guys to go ahead and do the last column, and I want you to show work for each number. So what two numbers are you adding together to get all three of those numbers? Go ahead and take a moment and let's get all of those numbers added together so we have our correct matrix.